lawsuits across the globe as they jockey for position in the lucrative tablet and smartphone markets.
Well, we're living in an age of innovation that's changing how we live and how we work. And it's also changing what business expects from IT departments. That was one of the major themes of the CA Technologies Expo held in Melbourne. I caught up with CA's Trevor Bunker on the floor of the show to learn more about these changes.
Well, I think we live in an age of innovation because if you look at every industry in the history of mankind, technology has been at the heart of driving that advancement or the innovation. And specifically, sectors like financial services, manufacturing, telecommunications have all been leap forwarded forward in their innovation by technology. So that's what's really exciting and driving us these days.
What technologies in particular are you particularly excited about right now? What is driving innovation today?
Yeah, so you look at the consumerization of IT, and what we mean by that is, frankly, the technology that a lot of us have at home is historically better than the technology that we've had at work. So we have iPads, iPhones, Samsung, all these mobile devices. We have on-demand video or tele, right? We can watch movies anytime that we want. So it's changed the expectation of consumers. So now we want to start delivering that same experience in the workplace. And businesses are really looking, how can we capitalize? How can we use these new technologies to reach new customers, reach new markets, and so forth?
One of the big themes that I'm noticing from this year's conference and a couple of guests I've spoken to is the changing nature of IT. So that consumerization of IT, the age of innovation, that's changing what IT is about. What do business really expect from IT today that's different?
Yeah, so in the past, IT was all about the infrastructure. Right? In fact, the competitive advantage that IT provided most businesses historically was access to IT. Nowadays, it's all about what can you do with IT. So there's a lot of discussion around cloud, for example, and the way we look at cloud as the democratization of IT. And what I mean by that is, in the past, only the largest enterprises could afford leading edge technology. Today, whether you're a small office, home office, small company, you have equal access to IT. The difference is, what do you do with it? And you've heard a lot of discussion today around big data. It's one of the areas we're really focusing on, because what we believe big data is going to do is going to provide customers real-time information. So in the past, you used to have to run reports that would take days or weeks to gather this information. Now we can do it 24/7 in real time. So now CEOs, CIOs, COOs can actually make decisions based on up-to-the-minute real-time information.
Now, one thing that you've kind of talked about is there needs to be a move away from managing technology to delivering innovation. But you say there are three things in the way of that. What are those three big challenges that IT faces today?
Yeah, and there really are three major challenges that IT faces. And frankly, IT's gotten a bad rap for this. First is customers just can't go fast enough. Right? We hear from CIOs, we heard today at lunch, that the business is always asking for new services. Every CEO, minister, MD, doesn't matter, comes into their CIO and says, why don't we have a mobile app? Right? And the challenge is that frankly, it just takes too long. The way we build, the way we develop, the way we release, in a historical fashion has just been too slow. The second key challenge that everybody says is the economics are wrong. It frankly takes too much money to maintain our current IT. On average, a lot of the research says it's about 80% of every dollar that goes into IT is to simply keep the lights on. Just business as usual, right? I mean, it's only 20 cents on every dollar is actually going to anything new, right? So changing the economics is critical. And then the third part is security. Right? You read in the newspaper all the time that personal information leaked out, or there's new attacks and so forth, and cloud scares everybody. Where's the data? Who can access it? So, being able to go faster, being able to do it cost effectively, and making sure that we don't sacrifice security are really the three major challenges.
Now, one thing that CA Technologies has talked about quite a lot, and our audience hears about quite a lot, is cloud technologies.
Absolutely.
But there was an interesting white paper out recently about the 5 problems with cloud computing. One of the big ones was the cost of mitigating risk. That was actually seen to be quite a big barrier for some companies. Has the cloud been oversold or overhyped, and are we now coming to a more realistic understanding of what it means to go cloud?
Yeah, so I think we as an industry are maturing and we're starting to really understand cloud better, right? I think the word cloud scares some people. In fact, I challenge our own salespeople and our own practitioners, when developing a solution, if you can remove the word cloud and it still makes sense for a customer, there's probably something there. So, trying to cut through a lot of the hype around cloud. But there certainly are issues that exist, right? Data sovereignty is probably one of the biggest issues that scares a lot of our customers, especially here in Australia. A lot of customers don't want to send their data outside of Australia. So making sure that we can provide the right security controls, the right compliance, and the right audit, is certainly going to be a requirement before anyone considers cloud.
And the last question I have for you, which is something I found very interesting, one of your slides had 67% of CIOs going to consider themselves Chief Innovation Officers. Tell our audience what that means and why that's significant.
Absolutely. So remember how I was saying about 80% of every dollar spent on IT goes to simply doing the same thing. We as an industry a lot of times aren't given a good reputation for innovation, right? A lot of times we're viewed as expensive and old. So, in some recent research, CIOs said driving innovation, delivering new services, access to new markets, and frankly, being part of driving the strategy for their company is in their top 3 priorities. So that's why a lot of CIOs want to focus more on innovation. As a result, what it means is, we have to make current existing operations easier. We have to make it more cost effective so that the CIO and our IT leadership can actually focus on new initiatives and driving new programs.
Do you think the cloud is going to realize a position one day where most of this infrastructure spend is outsourced and we're going to see a reversal with 80% spent on innovation and 20% spent on infrastructure?
Absolutely. In fact, I think over time, infrastructure will become much less relevant and much less important. Today, infrastructure is pretty ubiquitous. Just about everyone can get access to the same infrastructure. Now, it's what we do on that infrastructure, how we deliver that app and that business intelligence, that will continue and remain, the competitive advantage that all of us can drive. And cloud's going to absolutely be at the forefront of that.